Hey guys, so last week we talked about major 7 chords and we went over 3. I'm going to show you the next 3, then I'm going to reiterate all of them, and that'll be this music theory lesson for this week. So, the three new 7th chords that you need to know are the augmented chord, the half diminished chord, and the fully diminished chord. All these involve sevenths. Now, I'm going to base all these around C. And when I go back to reiterate the ones that I taught you last week, I will show you those in C just to make it easier. So, an augmented chord is based off of the major 7 chord. We have your root, major 3rd, I was showing it in D, but whatever. I said I showed it in C, so it's in C now. You got your root, major 3rd, and major 7th. What makes it an augmented chord is that there are 2 notes that are either perfect or they're either augmented or diminished. 2 notes in the entire scale are perfect. Well, 3, but these are the only 2 that really get the most attention. You have your perfect 4th and your perfect 5th. Now we know that the 5th is the missing note in this chord. If it was a major 7 chord, it would be G natural, but it's not. It's augmented. What makes the perfect chord either perfect, augmented, or diminished, not a major or minor in between, is quite simply because that's the sound it's supposed to be. If it's off, it's augmented, and if it's sharp, it's augmented. If it's diminished, if it's flat, it's diminished. That's just how things go. So augmented is up 1/2 step. So G, C to G natural, perfect 5th, C to G sharp, augmented 5th, your augmented chord. Now, what makes these next 2 chords kind of hard to wrap your head around is there are 2 different varying degrees of diminished in classical music theory, which is music theory. What makes a chord half diminished or fully diminished is how flat you make the 7th. So just a C diminished chord based on 3 notes, like I've shown you, is C minor 3rd, so E flat, and then you have that flat 5th, that flat perfect 5th, which is diminished. The next step would be the 7th. Now, if you were making this a half diminished chord, you have a minor 7th in there. So minor 3rd, diminished 5th, and minor 7th. That's a half diminished chord. Your root, minor 3rd, diminished 7th, and diminished 5th, and minor 7th. What makes it a fully diminished chord is root, minor 3rd, diminished 5th, and diminished 7th. So major 7th in C would be B natural, minor would be B flat, and then diminished would be B double flat, but a double flat is the same as just being down a whole step, and we know that a whole step away down from B is A. Now, you don't call it A natural when you're trying to spell out a C diminished chord. You don't call it a natural whatever. You don't call it the major 6th of the scale. C to A is natural 6th in the C major scale. But you don't call it that. You don't call it the 6th of the scale. You call it a double flat, a diminished whatever that note is supposed to be, in this case it's a B. So diminished, fully diminished in seventh equal B double flat. This is called an enharmonically equivalent sound. Basically, enharmonic means it's different notes, but it sounds the same. A minor is the enharmonic minor of C major because there are no flats or sharps in the key signature. B diminished is enharmonically equivalent to A natural because double flatting a note brings it down a whole step, and a whole step away from B is A. I hope I made that clear. So the 6th, 7th chords you know are a major 7th chord, root, major 3, perfect 5th, major 7th, a dominant chord, dominant 7th chord, root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th, a minor 7th chord, root, minor 3rd, 5th, minor 7th, a half diminished chord, root, minor 3rd, diminished 5th, minor 7th, and a fully diminished chord, root, minor 3rd, diminished 5th, and diminished 7th. Hope that made sense. Next week I'll leave next week's music theory lesson a surprise until we get there.